Oh, hello everybody. Here you can see the Williamsburg Bridge back here. To show you, it's going from the Lower East Side to Brooklyn, Williamsburg. It's a very cool bridge. It's right at Delancey Street. It's wonderful there on the Lower East Side. I used to live there for a while with a roommate, and we shared an apartment close to Chinatown, and yeah, you can pretty much survive there very frugally because they have a lot of fresh produce on the streets. All these stores are extremely frugal and cheap, and you can even get something freshly cooked, like to go from a Chinese restaurant or so for a few dollars. It's amazing. And yeah, so I used to live there, and then I used to live with a roommate in Brooklyn. I came with a suitcase and a bag. That was it to New York, and in the first years I stayed with roommates, and it was a great experience. And I rented a desk at a fund manager's office on the in Midtown. Yeah, it was in Midtown. It was also a great experience. Later on, I found something close to Chelsea, and then I lived in Chelsea a while, and then I moved to the financial district. But always very down to earth. I never was going to spend a lot because I wanted to be financially independent. What I was able to reach where I'm now, like I have stocks and real estate that make me pretty much independent. That's a great thing about it. If you're frugal, like this shirt here, it just didn't cost me a lot. It just was a few dollars at Costco. It was discounted. And if you're frugal, that's a great thing. You don't you're pretty much hassle free. If you hate your job, you don't like your job, you don't like the city you live, you just move on. If you don't like the job, you just move on, you go somewhere else. If you like stuck with that and you don't have an emergency fund, and that's a problem, then you are not free. Then people stick their whole life with the one job they have because they don't have the money, and they think it's risky. And of course it's risky if you have no savings, if you have no emergency fund. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Makes life so much easier. If you have built up financial assets, and it's so easy. It's amazing. Think about it. So somebody starts in their 20s, has a great career, gets a great paid job, and then you just throw in as much as you can. Your saving rate can be 70-80%. You save that money and put it in smart investments like the stock market or an ETF. And when you are in your end of 40s or maybe 50s, early 50 or so, you can be a multi-millionaire if you have a great pay, and if you every month, like steady, you put it into the stock market in an ETF or so. It can be a machine. It's the snowball that comes into play if you stay away from consumer debt, crazy credit card spending, and all that stuff. People buy too much. They go to Costco, buy these huge packages, and fill up their homes with garbage, and all that stuff doesn't make you really cool. That's what I think. I think what makes people really interesting is not the stuff they own and the cars they drive and the homes they live in. It's more like on a human level, like how honest, how fair, how helpful, how loving, how close you can be, and that stuff, and not what kind of a shirt somebody wears, or what kind of a fancy car somebody drives. It's really, it doesn't really matter to me. It's a different level that is more important. That's what I think. And these fancy, shiny things, these marble kitchens and brand new stove. Does it make fun to cook on a brand new stove? Not really, because you don't want to make it dirty, you don't want to scratch it. So a used old one stove is much more fun to cook. And having a party in a brand new home or outside in a garden or so, or doing a picnic can be much more fun. And in a marvelous, like beautiful granite floor, like living room, where everything is brand new and you have high-end leather couch and so on. Yeah, so that's what I think about money. I learned the lesson. Oh yeah, in the ocean there are, like, it's the East River, there are some, you see them here. I don't know how you call them, but they are like motor bicycles on the water. That's very cool. Yeah, so I learned the hard lesson when I grew up. My parents were struggling with debt. They had a lot of they thought with real estate. I think they bought too big of real estate, and the mortgage didn't. It was a hassle with interest, and my mom cried sometimes because she didn't know how to pay the interest and the principal. At the end of the month there was not enough money, so that was a huge lesson for me. I didn't want to have all this debt. I started to hate that because I saw what kind of trouble it creates, and it's really a big problem in these days, in these times, because it's so easy to build up debt, and it's a huge business. I mean, and it can destroy lives. Really, it can. It can make you bankrupt. It puts so much pressure on people. It doesn't make you free. It just creates the opposite. You are like in a jail of debt. Okay, that's what I always wanted to avoid. So I got obsessed with saving and investing. From early on, I read books like Peter Lynch, Warren Buffett, George Soros. I read it all. I wanted to figure out what to do, how to avoid it. I had tons of side jobs. I saved a lot everywhere, in real estate, in stocks. And I bought also a lot of companies that were in the neighborhood, public companies. And yeah, it paid off, it panned out. Not everything was smart, not every stock was great, but from early on I tried to do buy and hold. In between there was a time where I spent a little more, and when I traded a little more. That was stupid. Today I do not sell any more stock. Every stock I buy I keep for the long run. I will never sell. I will retire with them. And I think the best are like dividend paying stocks, like Aristocrats. That's a wonderful tool. When you get every quarter your cash, yeah, that's also great when you retire. Okay, that's all for today. Take it easy. Bye.